Buckle up. We are talking about shared finances today. I know, take a deep breath. In your household, is it 50-50? Well, if it isn't split 50-50, it could lead to a split if you aren't on the same page, but is 50-50 the right way to go? There are a lot of factors to consider, so let's get right to this. Lauren Canafranca is here. Thank you for being here and for tackling these tough conversations with us.
Oh, these are some of my favorite conversations.
Like I say, I'm like, we need to buckle up for this one. Okay. Is there a right way to divide your finances between you and your partner?
Really, I'm never going to be able to tell you there's a right way. The sort of best practices are ensuring that you are remembering that you're shoulder to shoulder about your finances, and it's not you versus me versus finances, but rather teamwork is the root of having a strong financial foundation. And making sure that you take time to explore each other's histories, because we all have different value systems and different beliefs when it comes to the money conversation.
When you lay it out like that, it sounds straightforward. It sounds pretty easy.
Yeah.
But it's not. So where do we begin?
Yeah, there's a lot of strategies you can use. And we begin by having a conversation. We can look at something like an equity method. And that's where we're going to get our information out on paper and have a conversation about what feels fair. And the equity method is, to simplify it, if you take each other's incomes and add it up, you get a household total. If one person makes $6,000 and the other person makes $4,000, you have a total of $10,000. One person A is going to pay 60% of the shared expenses, and person B is going to pay 40% of the shared expenses. And so that's a way for you to be able to say, hey, we're both contributing to our household, to our financial future together, and we also have some disposable income to be able to maintain for ourselves.
Yeah. What about if one person is working and the other person isn't? Like, how do you, because then is it based on the equity method? Like 100%,
100%
zero.
and 0%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in those cases, it's going to look a little bit different. Sometimes it means a person's maybe home caring for children. Sometimes a person's experienced a layoff. And these models are not perfect. That's why there's no one right way. We need to sort of be adaptable, and for a period of time, it may be inequitable. It may be that one person is contributing more financially, but the other person is contributing more labor around the house, more in childcare, more in household chores, more in, preparation of food. Any of those things, some of what we contribute doesn't have a dollar value attached, and we need to be really mindful and have open communication so that we don't get caught up in resentment, in feeling like one person is doing everything and the other person isn't pulling their weight and playing that blame game.
Yeah. One thing that you mentioned, like you were talking about the history. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit? Because I think, again, it's easy to have the conversation that, you can do the math. But why does history play a role then, or how does that play into it?
It's actually more important before you get to numbers. For a lot of us, we sort of, meet up and start having a financial life together before we actually have a conversation. And I always encourage clients to work with the prompt and talk to each other about the history with money, right? So what was it like for you growing up with money? What did you hear about money growing up? What did you see? What were you told about money? And that very often is going to be quite revealing, and it helps couples move toward each other and their financial values. If one person in the couple grew up afraid the lights were going to get turned off, and the other one grew up going on, summer holidays or winter holidays to Hawaii, you're going to approach money differently, right? If one person witnessed financial abuse and the other person had parents who were filling out their budget every month and talking about investments, you're going to approach finances very differently.
I like the way that you're saying it, because I like the way that you say that, because it's not just about the money itself or how you divide it, but your ideas associated with it too. And that, I would think, almost plays more of a role than like, okay, here are the dollar and cents, right? Like the history, the story behind it.
The equity method, we did it really quickly. It's a very simple approach. It's the feelings that are involved, right? It's how do I get this to feel fair? And how do sometimes we haven't even explored it for ourselves. So we don't even know what we're bringing, right? Money, for better or worse, comes with tons of baggage. So we don't even necessarily know what we're showing up with in our relationship, right? We might show up with all kinds of bias and perceived assumptions about why my partner is behaving the way they're behaving without having any curiosity or any opportunity to just, like any project, you're going to do research first. So find out about your partner, schedule time ahead. Don't do a drive-by and say, I didn't have any money growing up and this is terrible. You need to be able to sort of create a safe space to have a conversation, to be curious and be compassionate with your partner, and find out what is it about money that affects how they interact with it.
Yeah. I mean, who has that conversation where you're like, no, we're not spending money on this, or what about this, right? No conversation ever goes that way with money, does it?
Never.
Lauren.
Never seen it.
Yeah, never. And you won't see it ever again. After this, never again. Lauren, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.